Greetings once again to my fellow watch enthusiasts on YouTube and Facebook and wherever else this video might be seen. Tis I, Celine Driver, once again. One day I should probably actually do a video of my Celine, since my channel is named after the Celine, and yet all I seem to shoot are videos of watches. But I'll do that later. Right now it's love bug season where I am, and the Celine doesn't go outside during the love bug season. So I come to you today for another one of my watches for life videos. This will be number 2. Number 1 seemed to be fairly popular, so I thought I'd do another one. The first one dealt with vintage watches, and if you missed that one, go ahead and take a look at my list of videos, and you'll find it there near the most recent. And go ahead and watch that too if you want. But I thought today I would answer the question, why dive watches? I just thought of the topic last night and thought it was a good one, because when I look at my collection, the predominant theme of my collection, and this is just a small part of it here, are dive watches. And I love dive watches. I really do. I particularly like watches that are, pardon me, substantial looking and feeling. I'm not a big fan of wimpy watches. I don't own a lot of formal watches. I think 1 or 2 qualify, but even those have a good heft to them. And I prefer watches that have some heft, some phrasos, as the Greeks say, if I may borrow that word from a James Bond movie. And I have just a few examples of my collection of dive watches. I have everything from the low-end Seikos to the mid-range, I guess you'd call them mid-range, of things like Zelos and Squale here and here, and even some of the quote-unquote upper end of the dive watches, which would be my beloved Doxas. These are 2 of them. I picked those 2 for a specific reason. But the one thing I love about dive watches, and I think a lot of my fellow watch enthusiasts will agree, is there's just such a nice versatility. Well, versatility certainly, but that's not the word I was looking for. The word I was looking for is a nice spread of the way they look. They all don't look like Rolex Submariners, which are gorgeous watches, to be certain. My father has several, for example. They're gorgeous. That's probably the closest to a Submariner in terms of looks, and maybe I'm stretching or not, is my little Seiko SKX 007. I bought this watch with the intention of modifying it eventually, and I probably still will, but the only thing I've really done to it is I put it on a leather strap, because quite frankly the metal band bracelet that it was on was kind of cheap feeling, and I'm not a diver. First of all, let me go into that real quick. I am not a diver. Back in the 80s, when I was actually, I actually became certified by NAUI, and go ahead and leave your comments below, and how good or bad you think NAUI is versus PADI versus this or that. I did it for all the wrong reasons. I was chasing a girl. Now, in my defense, she was really a very pretty girl, and I really liked her, and I thought she really liked me, and it seemed to be going well, but she loved to scuba dive, so I thought I'd get certified. So that was my first contact with dive watches, and while I am no longer certified for scuba diving due to health reasons, I still love scuba tanks. I really do. My bezel moved. Oh, that's terrible. Well, my 007. I put it on a leather strap because I'm not going diving anymore. And I don't swim very much. And this would not be a swimming watch anyway because it's now on a leather strap. And of course, you can see I put it on a custom bezel from what is that company I got it from? 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. I missed it. 1 second closer, I think it is. I'll leave a link in the description. They are based out of Poland, and they do some really nice bezels. This one is as you can see, is somewhat of a GMT style bezel with different time zones. There's New York, which is in the Eastern time zone of the U.S. where I am, and there's London highlighted in red, and Tokyo highlighted in red, and Los Angeles, Denver, Anchorage, Honolulu. So if you were traveling, this would be a really neat bezel for that. I'm probably going to change the movement out at some point to something that's hackable and windable, but not right now. So this is a really nice everyday dive watch. It looks the part. It is the part. It is a dive watch, and it just it ticks all the boxes for me in terms of what I like in a watch I could wear every day. It has substance to it. It's substantial feeling. It's substantial looking. It fits well. And it's just one of the things I like in a watch are met for me by divers. And I have other bezels here. And here's another one from 1 second. That's going to look neat when I decide to change it. Blue being my favorite color. And I love this Planet Ocean style orange one too. That'd probably be the next one I put on. But yeah, this is one of the things. I mean, this is a beautiful example of why I love dive watches. I mean, even with a simple black face, with a simple complication, it looks great. And another dive watch I have, my Pepsi, my Pepsi Turtle, and I apologize for the lawn guys outside. They'll be gone in a second. But this is another reason I love dive watches, because they all don't look like black tool watches. I mean, they don't all look the same. I mean, you can get varieties of color. This is a blue face, and I love the blue face dials. It has a Pepsi bezel with the red and the blue. And it's just a beautiful looking watch, and it's, again, substantial looking watch, nice and heavy, thick. Just a great overall design, and it gives variety. It's not a black face, black bezel, I mean, there becomes a sameness of watches that I've found in other categories, but in the dive category, it's just, you can get all kinds of things. I mean, even the bezels are different. I mean, look at this is what I would consider more of a kind of a standard watch, dive watch bezel with the minutes around the track, and you set your, let's say you went down at, it's almost 9:10 here, so let's say you put the pip at 9:10 and you went under, head wet, and you can count off the minutes. That's great functionality. But Doxa went a step further with their bezel, and this is a uniqueness of Doxas. I haven't seen other dive watches with this kind of bezel. They not only have the time in a little bit more detail than, say, my PADI, which only enumerates every 10 minutes. They enumerate on the Doxa at 5-minute intervals. And they also give you, along this outer track, downtime based in feet. I'm not an expert on dive watches, so I mean on dive tables anymore. I had to be, but I'm not. But as you know, if you're a diver, certain number of feet underwater, you only have a certain number of minutes before you have to stop for decompression. Like for a 20-foot, where is it? Like for a 60-foot dive, you can stay under almost an hour, it looks, without having to worry about as my Caribbean sub 750 with the GMT function shows you, and the dual crown to operate the inner bezel. So we have function, and we have great a high level of function. We have obviously all the ones I've showed you so far are very functional, but they are also stylish too. I mean, Squale is famous for that with this aqua blue, which just is. This is my first Squale. I saw this being reviewed by Tristano over at the Urban Gentry and said, I gotta have one of those. Found one, bought it. And it's just incredibly stylish. It has the mesh band. I reviewed this in another video. You can go find it, of course. I went into a little bit more detail about it, but with the blue bezel and the blue face and the high polish inside and out, it's just a beautiful watch. Very stylish. Great conversation piece, just a wonderful watch, and yet still is a highly functional, true dive watch. I mean, I would take this with this band, or these beads of rice bands. I would take this underwater in a heartbeat. I mean, it is beautifully functional. And here's my Squale TGV Lion Shark. Again, a beautiful, purpose-built dive watch. Excellent, highly visible bezel insert. It is a 50 Atmos, so it's going to go down pretty deep. Orange hand. A lot of these hands are either orange or they have great lume on them or other things to make them visible. Great lume on the indices and on the pip up here. Leather band that came with the watch makes it a little bit less of a diver and more of a showpiece. But if I wanted to, I could call up Long Island Watch and say, give me one of these 1521 mesh bracelets and make it a diver in about 10 minutes. Well, 20. Sometimes I struggle with the spring bar tool. Again, nice, functional, solid, screw down back. They all have that. Solid watch. Great for wearing. Just a wonderful watch to wear, and you know you have that functionality. Even my Zelos, one of my Zelos. I mean, all the Zelos watches are incredibly functional dive style watches, but the Mako here was made to absolutely look the part. No question about it. It's a dive watch. Screw down crown, which right now is unscrewed because I leave all my screw down crowns unscrewed, because unless I'm when I wind them and wear and tear on the threads, and we've been over that before, so please don't hate. Put it on a leather band. It came with a rubber strap, which I still have, but I don't like rubber straps. If I'm going to put bands on my watches for dive purposes, it's always going to be a metal band. I really dislike the rubber. Screw back, screw down crown, beautifully made bezel, very readable loomed indices, nice loomed hands and second hand. It would make a great dive watch. It absolutely would. And this is why I like dive watches. I mean, look at my grouping here. I have color, I have function, I have good looks, I mean beautiful looks. I have everything I want. I have chunky, substantial watches. Even the one I'm wearing now, my Polam Hamtrak. Really big one too. Again, great, functional mesh band, easily readable dive watch. I'm not so sure about this one with its loom capability because I haven't seen it loomed up yet, but it's a dive style watch. It's nice and substantial looking, and it's different looking. It has the white and the red of the Polish flag. Love the polished silver on the bezel to offset the red and the white. And it's just, again, why dive watches is the purpose of the video. And even though I don't dive. And my answer is, why wouldn't I? I like heavy looking, thick, substantial looking watches. This category gives me that. This category gives me the toughness to wear them every day without worrying about them being damaged. They can get wet without worrying about anything happening to the mechanism. I have color, I have variety, I have functionality, I have everything that I want. To me, the dive watch is the quintessential watch type. Now, that's an opinion. Other people have other opinions, obviously, and you'll probably let me know in the comments below. But for me, the dive style watch is the quintessential watch. It gives me everything. It gives me looks. It gives me function. It gives me the heft. It gives me the quality. What more could I ask? That's not to say I don't own other style watches, but this is the watch that is the majority of my collection. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I encourage you to give I'd love to get into a conversation about what other watch enthusiasts think about what ticks their boxes on watches. And also, if you have ideas for other Watches for Life videos, I think I'll make a few more. Leave that down in the comments too. If you like the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And definitely think about subscribing. And don't forget to click the little bell icon so you're alerted to when I put other videos up. I thank you for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.